You guys, today, Caitlin Clark got fined $200. Kathy, what do you think you are accomplishing by that? What kind of message do you think you're accomplishing by doing? You're not even making an example out of her by finding her an exorbitant amount of money. You are literally making a joke out of yourself by finding her such a little.
The WNBA has officially punished the one player single-handedly saving their league, and it's all because of 4 simple words she typed on Instagram. In a bizarre act of self-sabotage, the league fined its biggest star, Caitlin Clark, for daring to state the obvious. This wasn't just a petty penalty, it was a move that exposed a baffling leadership that threatens to destroy the very momentum it desperately needs.
Okay, and we know how this works because Sophie Cunningham has told us how this works. If you talk about the refereeing, if you talk about the officiating on the InstaFace, on the TikToks, on the Twitters, any of that social media, in the public, in the interview, if you mouth it in the shower, Kathy Engelbert will peek in and look around at you and point at you and be like, you're fined. Even though she won't clean up the officiating in her trash-ass league? Okay.
The incident in question was laughably minor. Following the Indiana Fever's hard-fought playoff series victory over the Atlanta Dream, Clark responded to a team Instagram post celebrating the win. Among a sea of celebratory messages, she posted 2 comments, "Elite bench mob" and "Refs couldn't stop us." That second comment, a simple and accurate reflection of a resilient team overcoming challenges, was apparently a step too far for the WNBA's front office.
So during the game, we saw here, the Fever players celebrating. I would assume based on the reaction that this was after the Lexi Hull steal and everything. And Caitlin Clark on Instagram commented this: "Refs couldn't stop us. Elite bench mob. It wasn't for the lack of trying. Glad they're having fun and celebrating like no other teams." Will she get fined for saying that? Yeah, she got fined.
What makes this situation utterly surreal is that Clark hadn't played in a game since July, sidelined for the rest of the season with a groin injury. The woman responsible for sold-out arenas and historic television ratings was forced to watch her team's improbable playoff run from the bench. Yet, even as a spectator, her influence was so immense that a casual social media post was deemed a punishable offense. The league's biggest asset, even when injured, found herself in the crosshairs for the crime of stating a widely held truth.
When you're on the WNBA's time or the NFL's time or the NBA's time, when you're on their time, criticizing the officials, calling out the officiating, I've seen players get fined for that. But when you're on your own time, well, now, other than Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark seems to be the 2 players that come to my mind of players getting fined, criticizing the officials, doing it on their own time, quote unquote, off the clock.
The WNBA's attempt at discipline quickly turned into a running joke. Clark herself revealed the penalty on X, posting a screenshot of her comment with the caption, "Got fined $200 for this lol." She mockingly promised that the bench mob will be even more rowdy. Her teammate, Sophie Cunningham, who has also been sidelined with an injury, chimed in with her own sarcastic take. "That's gonna really break the bank for her," Cunningham wrote, "starting a GoFundMe now."
The hate is real. The hate is real, Kathy. I see you hating on us from a mile away, Kathy Engelbert. We all see it. You out here trying to find Caitlin Clark. You out here finding the one person who's actually bringing money into this league. What a joke. You're mad that the Indiana Fever are here right now. Y'all didn't expect us to get this far. Y'all really didn't expect it. We got Sophie Cunningham exposing the whole league agenda. Exposing them. Caitlin Clark mocking them all on Twitter, all on Instagram, everywhere, because they are.
These reactions highlight the absurdity of the fine. For a player like Clark, whose WNBA salary is just over $78,000, but whose endorsement deals are worth millions, A $200 penalty is less than a rounding error. The fine wasn't about the money. It was a clear message from the league office, an attempt to assert authority. But instead of instilling order, it exposed the league's petty and misguided priorities, making them the butt of the joke in the process.
What world do we live in? Like, I'm pretty sure she just said the refs can't stop them celebrating. This isn't even her going at refs. It's literally like if you say the word refs and you're an Indiana Fever player, you're going to get fined. If you say the word refs as a Fever player, the word referees has to be spoken, cannot be said by an Indiana Fever player, otherwise it's a fine. And the worst part is if they got fined for celebrating. So I don't think, only she got fined, not everybody. There's other people on the floor, everything. She's not, like, they're celebrating, the timeout's been called, or the foul's been called, it is what it is.
Clark's comment didn't materialize out of thin air. It was the culmination of a season plagued by widespread frustration over inconsistent and poor officiating. Coaches, players, and fans have been vocal all year about missed calls and a perceived lack of accountability for referees. Several coaches, including the Fever's own Stephanie White and Golden State's Natalie Nakase, had already been fined for speaking out against what they saw as unfair treatment.
The WNBA definitely got to play these women more. You got to pay these women more. Because what the hell? It's a $200 fine. This picture right here is giving me Mom Made Pizza Rolls vibes. Mom Made Pizza Rolls and everybody. Ah! Caitlin Clark was fined $200 for her comments she left on the IG post. She said refs couldn't stop us, meaning they advanced to the next round despite the refs trying to throw them a curveball every game, despite having to play against the refs. And the league said, "Oh hell no, nah. You gotta run me that 200. You got to run me that 200.
The league's response, however, has been consistently defensive. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has often dismissed complaints as the natural griping of losing teams, a stance that has only deepened the frustration. Instead of addressing the systemic issues that multiple sources within the league have pointed out, the WNBA has chosen to punish those who dare to speak up. Fining Clark was not an isolated incident, but part of a larger, troubling pattern of silencing dissent rather than solving problems.
Got fined $200 for this LOL, she posted on X, accompanied by laughing emojis and a promise that the bench mob will be even more rowdy tomorrow.
That Sophie has got jokes. She retweeted this. That's really going to break the bank for her. Starting a GoFundMe now. Sophie, you got jokes. Hun, you got jokes. Yeah. So Sophie Cunningham Central, I'll donate.
The timing of the fine made the WNBA's decision even more tone-deaf. The Indiana Fever, a team decimated by 6 season-ending injuries, were in the middle of a stunning and improbable playoff run. After upsetting the Atlanta Dream, they went on to shock the basketball world by defeating the heavily favored Las Vegas Aces in Game 1 of the semifinals. It was a story of resilience and teamwork that should have been the league's top promotional point.
Rather than fining players for being excited on the bench and for letting it be known how trash your referees are, why don't you start fining referees for not calling fouls? Why don't you start putting that type of energy into making sure the game is played better? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? Because that would be nice. That would be nice if you could do that.
Instead, the narrative became about the fine. At the same time the league was punishing Clark, it was celebrating the Aces star, Aja Wilson, who had just received her record-breaking 4th MVP award. The optics were terrible. The league's most popular player, who was driving unprecedented engagement, was being disciplined for a minor social media comment, while the establishment's chosen star was being coronated. This contrast created a clear us versus them narrative, pitting the underdog Fever against not just their opponents, but the league itself.
What if this is the WNBA foreshadowing? We're seeing how you're acting on the bench. We're seeing how you're talking to the officials on the bench. We will tee you up. Now, whether I think that she deserves a tee for it or not, we're not even going to get into that. What if this is just saying, hey, we're going to tee you up. if you continue to get at the officials, if you continue to talk up the officials, if you continue to show up the officials on the sideline, we're going to tee you up. We're not going to tee Sophie up.
Ultimately, the decision to fine Caitlin Clark was a massive, unforced error. It was a petty, short-sighted move that overshadowed an incredible underdog story and exposed the league's dysfunctional priorities. In a moment when the WNBA should have been capitalizing on the Caitlin Clark effect, it instead chose to engage in a pointless power struggle with its biggest star. The irony was lost on no one when the Fever, inspired by their sidelined leader, went on to dominate the Aces in that first game, with Kelsey Mitchell delivering a historic 34-point performance.
The Aces couldn't stop her. I actually don't think that the Aces perimeter, honestly, defense or offense is very good, but specifically defense, they just couldn't find an answer for Kelsey. They were sending two on her at different times, but the Fever were running cutters. Kelsey was making her way to the rim. Now, I will say the Aces defense is scary around the rim because you have somebody like Asia who averages over 2 blocks a game, and she's just there waiting and ready to block your shot if you get too close to the rim. But Kelsey Mitchell, I mean, she was just finding her spots, getting to her lanes, hitting those open threes, all of the things.
The incident revealed a leadership that appears more concerned with controlling narratives than fostering growth and addressing legitimate concerns. By punishing the messenger, the WNBA only amplified the message that the league's officiating is a problem and its leadership is unwilling to fix it. This entire fiasco serves as a cautionary tale about what happens when a sports league fails to protect and support the very players who are carrying it to new heights.
All the money that Caitlin Clark has generated for this league, all the tickets sold, all the jerseys, all the record revenue of the ratings, the television deal, and they're going to put their hands in her pocket for $200 for this. I'm like, hey man, do we need to call the armored guard? Do we need to have all this? And we need to deliver it directly to Kathy Engelbert's office. As a matter of fact, Caitlin Clark herself should be able to make an appearance, and she should do how Ice Cube did, when he used to run up into record labels. I'm saying, bring a bat. Caitlin, bring a bat. Bring the black Air Force.
The real tragedy here isn't a $200 fine. It's the squandered opportunity. The WNBA is at a pivotal moment with unprecedented attention and a transcendent star leading the way. Yet, the league's leadership seems intent on tripping over its own feet, prioritizing bureaucratic control over celebrating the very things that are making it popular: authentic players, compelling stories, and raw emotion.
Like, it is madness. It is madness. And I mean this. Like, the amount of people that are like, oh, I hate this team. It's like, why? They're excessively celebrating. They're excessively celebrating. They're not there talking down on other teams. They're not doing the Alyssa Thomas. They're not doing a Phoenix Mercury and shit talking other teams' fans. They're not doing Phoenix Mercury and shit talking the other team's players, their coaches, their all of this stuff. And then when they lose, they're silent and they dodge everything. Hell no, they're just celebrating. They're just celebrating. They actually find somebody for saying refs can't stop. The refs won't stop us.
The fine, the officiating controversies, and the tone-deaf responses all point to a league at a crossroads. It can either embrace the disruptive energy that players like Caitlin Clark bring and address its internal issues, or it can continue to alienate its stars and its growing fan base. The question that remains is whether the WNBA will learn from this self-inflicted wound, or if it will continue to be a league at war with its own savior.